here with Stuart Weitzman, the founder of the Stuart Weitzman Shoe Company. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. So what was the biggest lesson you learned from your dad growing up in the shoe business?
I didn't really work with my father. He passed away just as I got out of college. And all I did was spend some summers with him. So I have to say, aside from his example of being a wonderful artist and a terrific designer, and I guess some of that rubbed off, I really didn't have enough time with him to learn anything from him that would lead me to a successful career.
What made you go on this journey in the fashion and shoe business?
You know, I made a few sketches for a manufacturer. I sold them to him, actually, and I saw one of them in a finished shoe in the window of I. Miller. I. Miller was the best shoe store in New York at the time, on the corner of 57th and 5th, where Bulgari is today, where Tiffany, they're all in that area. And this was a great store. And my shoe was in the window. And when I went into the store to ask about it, how's it doing? The lady told me, we just placed a reorder. That would be a repeat order because it was selling. There was something thrilling about that. I made this idea. It was executed in a product, and women were liking it enough to buy it and sell it out. I thought, hey, I think I found my career.
What's the process of developing a new shoe?
First thing is I think about women. I don't design for me. I design for them. And I have created over my lifetime like a dozen muses. And every time I'm involved in the collection, I think of a different lady to create shoes for her. So it could be a lawyer, it could be a bride, it could be Marilyn Monroe, who was the first muse I ever thought about. And that's why I guess I launched my career in party shoes. But you can't have Marilyn Monroe without Audrey Hepburn to get both sides of that era. And those kinds of women inspired me. And today I add, I think the last personality I added to my catalog of muses was the fashionista. And she is the hardest one to design for. But she's the one who's spending the money today. So it was worth learning who she was and creating product for her.
What does that process look like of staying on the latest trends and adapting your footwear, coming up with new products based on how do you collect that data?
It's gut. I mean, I know there's a lot of analytics going on in the world. I don't know for our business that it's ever will beat the gut feeling if you've got it, because that leads you where things are going instead of taking you where things are. And I would search it out that way. I would meet all the suppliers of our industry that I could do business with. They're all creative people. I mean, if you think about this, everything we have in the world has been designed. Even a pair of scissors or the shape of the iPhone, as Steve Jobs said. And if you look at objects with that recognition, inspiration comes. And I won't say inspiration only comes from my mind thinking about what this woman would wear, but it comes from architecture. It comes also from fashion, clothing industry. It comes from art. It comes from anywhere. It comes from a chair. I made a heel that was modeled off of a fabulous looking chair that Zaha Hadid had created for one of her museums. And it was a terrific idea. We were inspired from that. So I guess it all comes down to you need to know more than just what your industry is. You should know about peripheral industries because those ideas, you never know when they'll be worthwhile.
What do you think is harder to do? Build the brand so it's recognizable or sustaining that same brand over a long period of time?
Well, it's the hardest part is getting there. You have to work your tail off to stay there. But I never found it difficult to stay there. And it took a lot of years and a lot of imagination in doing unique things to get noticed and to build a brand out of it. What's more important than all of that is the product itself. You know, that saying that's quoted sometimes to a football coach, but it really came from Abe Lincoln about you can fool some of the people some of the time and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool everybody all of the time. You just can't. The product has to be there. And I worked about 13 years, I think it was. I had to answer that question a lot. So I'm pretty accurate on that, 13 years, before I tried to make a worldwide brand out of Stuart Weitzman.
Yeah, I think one of the big challenges now in today's world is the media is so fragmented. There's so much noise out there. And you've been really good at standing out among a lot of other brands, clearly. What do you think?
Well, we had a head start.
What do you
Before all this crazy new media, we were there. So we had a head start. No, we had to be smart enough to move with the change in media presentation. I don't know. I took advice from Robert Frost, who I suppose a lot of people still remember from their high school days, and his wonderful poem about the road not taken and how it ended. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Those are the last 3 lines of his poem. And I have kind of thought of that in every major aspect of my career and my life, and tried to do something in a way that would be surprising to people and therefore have more impact, be written about because it was not normal, and it worked.
What's your best piece of career advice?
I just gave it to you. Mm-hmm. Find your path. You know, do it. Hey, listen. When Paul Anka wrote that song for Frank Sinatra, Do It My Way, it was for everybody. I know so many people who relate to that song. And I think it was a great message, and I tried to do it my way.
Thank you so much for your time.